Hello everyone. This is a brief video detailing the differences between the outline templates that I've placed on Blackboard for you to use for your formal speeches. The one that you're looking at right now is the formal outline template. And formal outline is the same thing as a final draft, basically. And one of the components of this speech class, a state mandate, if you will, is that you use some kind of an organizational tool to show the components of your speech. And so I have devised this table for the components that are required for most of your speeches. My intent for this is for you to go in and tailor the template as you need to. So if you open it up, you might need to use Edit in a Microsoft Word product in order to be able to get into the template, but once you have gotten to the edit mode, you can start to fill out the information that you need. So for this first speech, formal speech, you're going to be doing an informative speech. Here I've just given you some boilerplate examples. I would anticipate that you delete that as you write your attention getter for your audience. So here you would write out, once upon a time, I went on a trip, blah, 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 blah. So that's where I would write my attention getter. In my relevance, credibility, common ground statement, this is the place where you want to tell your audience members how many years you've been doing something, where you learned to do something, the number of times you've done it, and or why the topic is important for them to know. Oftentimes, I encourage you to start picking a topic that number one, you have passion about, because your passion will shine through. But number two, you also have to consider your audience. Many times we have an increasingly shorter attention span, and if we hear something that we're not interested in, we tune out. And so you want to, at the very beginning of your speech, tell your listeners why it's important for them or why it's relevant for them, and if not relevant now, how it will be relevant to them in their futures. So you are going to walk through this template and you are going to fill in the components of it as best you can. Do note that I have 3 main point rows. You might find that you need only 2, so you can either delete these by doing a delete row, or you can just ignore them, skip over them. You might also find that you need 1 more main point. For the size or the length of the speeches that you deliver this term, you're looking at anywhere between 3 and at the most 8 or 9 minutes. So having more than 3 main points in a speech of that length is really not very doable. So consider how you can restrict your main points to 2 to 3 for most of the speeches that you deliver. Then you get down to your conclusion, where you don't want to add any new information, and let us know that we've come to the end of your speech. I do caution you to beware of using too many "so in conclusion" or "finally" or "in conclusion," because those are very, very common concluding techniques, and if you watch 8, 9, 10, 12, 20 speeches in a row, you start to feel like it becomes repetitive or redundant. So think about ways that you can close in a slightly fresher way. And then each of these templates has a bibliography section. Again, this is only if you need to use outside sources. If you are using outside sources or doing research for your speech, you need to put the full citation in MLA. And a website that I encourage you to check out would be the OWL, O-W-L, at Purdue, P-U-R-D-U-E, and check out the MLA citations area of that website, or else if you're comfortable and familiar with websites like EasyBib, those can help you to format your citations. And if you have problems with any of those, let me know and I can help walk you through them. So this is the outline that I want you to use. This is the outline you use for your rough draft, or also called the working outline. This is what you upload to get peer feedback on. And then once you've gotten that feedback, you will then revise this, perfect it, write everything out that you imagine saying, upload that to Blackboard for me to see, because then I can see that you know how to put together an intro, a body, conclusion, main points, and transitions. That's what I use to assess the actual content of your speech. Know too that this is not what I want you to be reading from. If you use this as your speaking notes, you will end up reading too much and you will end up making not enough eye contact with your audience. So what you do from this stage, after you've perfected your formal outline, is you go to your keyword outline. Now, this is just a simplified way for you to remember what you want to say. This should be words and phrases only. You can write your thesis out as a complete sentence, but I don't want you to write your entire introduction out. I don't want you to write your entire body points out. It shouldn't be sentences. It should be phrases that help you remember what you want to say. The only exception to this is if you have statistics or facts or a quote from someone else that you want to remain authentic to the accuracy of that information. You can also tailor this to give yourself cues. Don't forget to make eye contact, smile big, slow down, be aware of your ums. These are just notes for you to give yourself. You can edit those to put whatever you want in them. You can use this or you can use note cards. I encourage you to use this, however, because I also ask that you upload this for me to look at. It is worth points for each of your speeches, and it will be easier for you to upload than note cards will be. However, whatever you choose to use on the day of your actual speech that you present and record for your audience, one thing that we're going to be looking at, and I'm going to be paying attention to, is how much you do rely upon those notes, how often you look down at them, whether you're fiddling with them, and how much it sounds as though you're reading. So your keyword outline should be just that, keywords that you use. The last thing I wanted to show you is an example of a completed formal outline. So I wrote a mock one of how to pack light and for easy travel. And as you see, I've titled it Pack Light, Travel Easy. Since I have been able to make some overseas trips, and when I do, I always bring a backpack, and that's it. I thought it would be a good topic for me to talk about. So this walks you through first step, bringing only a backpack, telling the sizes, the expenses. The next step is filling the backpack, so what to put in it, what to bring and not to bring when you on a trip. And then the third point would be what you bring back home in that same bag. And so those would be my 3 main points. And I do have one citation in my bibliography that is from a quote from Rick Steves, who's a travel guide and a PBS personality. So that shows you for about a 5 to 7 minute speech. It ends up being single spaced, about 2 full pages. And I've made notes in here where I'd want to show a picture. If you look at my introduction, I would be showing a picture of my obscenely large luggage that I took on my first trip ever overseas. So you can do those kinds of things too, as reminders to yourself or to show me that that's where you intend to use a visual aid. So that is a brief overview of your formal outline, your keyword outline, and then what a completed formal outline looks like. These templates are on Blackboard, and you will be using these templates for each of your formal speeches that you deliver. Again, this is what I use to assess the content of your speech, to be able to know that you are putting all the required components into the speech. I do understand and expect that what you say in your speech will sometimes be different than what's written in your actual formal outline, and that's okay. We make changes on the fly when we publicly speak. We don't say the same exact words, and sometimes we don't say the same exact things in the same exact order. That's cool with me. Just know that as long as you're getting most of the content and you have been able to compose a pretty well constructed and organized speech that covers the points that you want it to cover, that's the thing that counts the most. So if you have questions on any of these, let me know, and happy writing, happy practicing, and I really do look forward to seeing your first formal speeches. Thanks. Bye-bye.